3, 2, 1. What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Here the Spear, presented to you by NoleGameDay.com. We are here on a wonderful Tuesday evening. Once again, the last Tuesday. We'll be recording from here on out. We'll be going to Wednesday nights. But tonight's a big one. Tonight is a big one. We will be fully previewing the 2022 football season for Florida State and Mike Norvell going into his third season here in Tallahassee. And then at the very end, we will be giving away our record predictions for what is going to be a big-time season ahead for the Seminoles. We got the whole crew here, too. So, you know it's serious then. Up above with me is our editor-in-chief, Dustin Lewis. And then down below, he's back after a little bit of a break, but now he's stuck with us for, 6 more months straight. Austin Veazey, lead basketball writer, down below. Veazey, it's been a minute, baby. I've missed you. I got to say, I've missed you. It's been hard on here, just stuck with Dustin. If you could imagine what I've been dealing with.
I'm surprised you made it through, honestly. I wouldn't want to subject myself to that.
I've had a lot of talking time recently, and I'd like to apologize to all the listeners.
Yeah.
For all the fans that are still with us and haven't beat their heads in, thank you. Appreciate the support.
We've significantly dropped in downloads the last couple of weeks, so it's great to have Bottom Square Guy back.
Bottom Square Guy, we're here.
Not the bottom square guy. No. But yeah, we're here, man. It feels good. We wrapped up a practice this morning, but when it comes down to season preview and giving our record predictions, that's when it kind of just finally hits me and says, yeah, football season has arrived. And now I'm a little sweaty. I got to make sure this record prediction is good, because after what happened last year, I was a little off, but some things happened last year that we didn't really expect. So hoping that isn't the case this upcoming season. So we got a lot on the docket tonight. So let's go through all of this to get you guys prepared. I highly suggest this is going to be a long podcast or live stream as you guys are watching right now. So definitely go grab something to eat, drink, sit back and relax. We're going to go through the quick hitters of the week. We're going to talk about a running back that is out for the rest of the season. A wide receiver making a little bit of a position change like we saw today in practice. We'll talk Jacksonville practices, where Dustin and I were in attendance for. We've got second scrimmage notes. We've got Tuesday's practice from this morning. Then we got some recruiting with some new commits. And then after that, it is full season preview, along with record predictions, offensive player, defensive player of the year, and freshman of the year. So a lot of stuff in this one. We got a long one ahead. So as always, you can listen to podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like button. Make sure you're commenting in the chat tonight. We got a lot to chat about, so hit the like button, subscribe everywhere. And if you're on iTunes, feel free to rate us 5 stars if you'd like to. But either way, it's time to get going. Let's jump into mainly the quick hitters that we really haven't been able to cover yet. One of them being center Caden Lyles, Wisconsin transfer, offensive lineman at that center position. Mike Norvell announcing that he's no longer going to be able to play this upcoming season. A big hit there, definitely in that center room, but mainly for depth, as it seemed like Maurice Smith was battling out to keep that spot. Really, really rough situation here for Caden Lyles. Mike Norvell felt pretty hurt about what happened, as he should. And Caden Lyles, though, being there in Jacksonville, he's still dressed out, being a part of the team, being very vocal and communicative, which is a really good sign. But the worst thing is, you don't get Caden Lyles, the transfer that you wanted to help bring in depth there at that center position. You don't have him for this upcoming season.
It's a tough loss. Obviously, Lyles and Maurice Smith were the most experienced guys that Florida State has at that position right now. So to lose him, especially this deep in camp, and like you said, with his past situation, Lyles missed most of the last 2 years with injuries at Wisconsin, coming into Florida State, hoping to make an impact, and then once again sidelined with another injury. So, that really sucks for the kid, and it sucks for FSU as well. And over the last couple of practices, Darius Washington, Bryson Estes, Thomas Schrader, Zane Herring, those are some of the guys that Mike Norvell has mentioned are taking snaps at center, and they're just going to keep working a lot of guys at that position moving forward to have capable depth waiting in the wings just in case of injury, because you've got 18 scholarship offensive linemen. Why not cross-train a few?
Yeah, that's not a great hit you want to start off the season going into, because as we saw last year, a lot of guys dinged up, and you got to try to build depth, which they did during the offseason, and they're going to move some guys continuously. I think heading into the first part of this season of figuring out who might be able to fit the mold there. Mike Norvell mentioning after the first scrimmage and then the second one now that, there's some young guys that are getting some playing time and they're trying out some younger guys. We even saw Sapp in there too. You could even expect Darius to move over to that center position. We've seen Schrader, we've seen Estes too. So there's a lot of different players that you can move around. It just depends on who you feel has the best, maybe college experience at this point. And luckily, Florida State has been able to do that in the transfer portal, bringing guys in that have college experience. And so you just don't want to have what you had last year, D-Lou, because it was really bad of throwing in some guys that had never played on the college level and putting them sometimes in positions that had not even played on a field before. And, they've only seen it on film. So a tough loss there for Florida State, but it was something that a little bit older in news wise, but for our podcast listeners, we wanted to give our take on it. So, it's just good to see Caden around the practices, in my opinion. Another hit, we're just going to go through, I guess, the bad parts of all this, and maybe we'll go to the good parts. But the bad parts continue. We got CJ Campbell. We were told today from Mike Norvell, running back, walk on, that he will no longer be available for the upcoming season due to injury. This has got to be from the second scrimmage going on there on Saturday night. Some really bad. This is definitely a hit. I mean, it's not a major hit for Florida State and the starting unit and that running back room, but for a guy that has worked his absolute tail off, that you would hope would eventually earn a scholarship, but also looked really good, had major flashes in the spring, also just continued to do the same in fall, but goes down with a season-ending injury. Really, really rough. And a guy that represents Florida State very well. You just hate hearing that kind of news to start off the week of practice this week.
Like you said, more bad news. And CJ Campbell, a guy that we've talked about, maybe a potential candidate to earn that final scholarship, particularly with the work that he's put in, and maybe taking a path kind of similar to Treshaun Ward, that walk-on to scholarship player. So to see him go down like this before the season even starts, before he's even gotten a chance to record a carry in a regular season game at Florida State, definitely sucks to see, because this is a guy, scout team player of the year last year, did really well this offseason in the strength and conditioning, winter workouts. Like you said, Logan, had a standout spring, and he's had some flashes this fall as well, and was going to be involved somewhere in that running back rotation. So it's a loss for Florida State, but luckily that running back, that backfield has a lot of talent in it. So hopefully they'll be able to replenish the loss of Campbell, and we'll talk about a new face in that room in a second.
Yeah, we will. But I'm wishing him, been able to, conversate a few times with CJ Campbell, wishing him the best. I just hate hearing that from Coach Norvell. And, we kind of felt something was up when we didn't get to see him at practice, but sometimes you hope that's just maybe a little sickness or recovering after a physical scrimmage. But for it to be a season-ending injury really, really blows. But D-Lou, on the bright side, that room still is heavy with a lot of talent, and you got the uprising of Rodney Hill. And now we'll talk about a position change here, including Joshua Burrell, wide receiver, has got some burn over there at running back today. Mike Norvell was able to confirm that, which allows us to spread that to all of you guys here. But I was a little shocked today. We got to go to practice and see him, and that was probably one of the last wide receivers I would really project to be in that backfield. Yeah, he's not the tallest, so I wouldn't expect a Deuce Spann, or obviously not Johnny Wilson. But for his size, that's a really good size wide receiver at the position he was. And now they're burning him and using him a little bit over at the running back room. He changes number to number 12. I noticed that we saw him in the running back room run into practice today, as David Johnson always leads in the rest of that room into practice, and said, who is that in number 12? Did Trey Benson go back to number 12 like he had in the spring? What's going on here? But sure enough, it was Joshua Burrell. We were able to tell that pretty quickly in practice, just because he always has that size. And D-Lou, he made some plays today, and to me, it just felt natural, which if you go back to Mike Norvell and what he's done best is evaluating running backs and developing them. I mean, if you look at Treshaun Ward earning a scholarship, now being, you're one of your top backs, if not the top back going into the season. And then what he's been able to do now with CJ Campbell, yes, injured, but, could play at this level. He can go in and is a great depth piece, or can even start for Florida State if need be. I mean, that's just a great thing that David Johnson and Mike Norvell are able to do and tag team on his developing running backs. But Joshua Burrell looked like a natural, in my opinion, today. One of them being an explosive run, hit the hole at the right time. And it was funny seeing David Johnson take off for 30 yards and Mike Norvell going and making sure. Mike always wanted to make sure the ball was tucked up, but broke one open today and had had a lot of catches and didn't see many drops, if not any.
Yeah, and I believe Coach Tokars and Coach Tucker were right behind Coach Jack and Norvell there. So, really almost half the offensive staff chasing after Burrell after one of those big runs. But it was impressive to see. As you said, it was a little surprising early in practice, but then you started seeing him work, catching passes out of the backfield. It just came naturally, and then he hit that big run up the middle where he cut through a hole and just hit it for a touchdown. And coming out of high school, I didn't think of Joshua Burrell as maybe the fastest guy, but today getting a chance to see his straight line speed was very impressive. I was like, whoa, Burrell actually has some speed to him there. So another weapon in that backfield, another guy who can kind of switch between wide receiver and running back. Kind of reminds me of they're not similar body types, but as Norvell has said, they've kind of done a similar thing with Ja'Kai Douglas throughout the fall. He's repped a little bit at receiver. He's repped a little bit at running back. They're going to do the same thing with Burrell now. And you look at his size, 6'2", 217 pounds per Seminoles.com. There's not another running back on the roster that matches up with him except for Trey Benson, who's 6'1", 215. So you get another big guy, a guy with speed, though, in Burrell. So it was a good first day. I want to see how it goes from here over the next couple preseason practices leading up to game week.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first day. You usually get those first flashes a little bit, and then it's a newcomer on the block, and Jordan Travis said it straight up to us, look good, but still his first day. And Norvell said, still understanding the system, the playbook and everything. And that's really understandable. But, as Trey on here on Facebook says, and this is a nice little comparison to, at least at the body size, how Antonio Gibson was for Mike Norvell over there at Memphis. Obviously a successful quarterback now in the league, but Gibson as a guy of that size and powerfulness. And I did not see Burrell. I haven't seen, I guess you see route running from him, his speed and catching and taking it, but he does have a burst to him whenever he's in the backfield there. And whenever he hit that hole today, I looked at you and I said, is that Joshua Burrell right there? And it sure enough was. That was really impressive. So we'll keep an eye on him and how he develops and understands that running back room more. As we know, Mike Norvell will shuffle around a lot of running backs through not only the season, but through games. So be exciting to see Joshua Burrell back there continue to grow. And we'll see how much he's utilized and what kind of packages Mike Norvell and Coach Atkins want to put him in this upcoming season.
Yeah, and like you said, there was a couple of times where he made a big play and we just kind of looked over at each other like, man, Burrell he's killing it today. And then
he looked really sorry. I was gonna say he looked really good as a pass catcher, man, out of the backfield. Like he looked smooth.
Couple huge plays out of the backfield where there was just no one around him. But after practice, I found it kind of interesting. We've been talking about how natural Burrell looked kind of at running back today. Norvell said that he didn't really play much running back in high school whenever they were scouting him. Just a guy that they really believe they can plug and play in that position. Norvell said with his size, speed, he's got great feet. He's really been coming on at receiver. I like the things that we've seen from him, and we'll still have a mix of that as we're going. We want to make sure that we have all plans covered. I thought he did a really good job today. So, yeah, as I said, want to see where it progresses from here for Burrell in a really talented running back room. Norvell said today, Logan, if I'm correct, I wasn't down there at the press conference, but I was doing my research afterwards. He said that Lawrence Toafili has probably been the most improved player throughout fall camp. And that's a big comment when you think about the guys he's competing with and Trey Benson and Treshaun Ward, who have also been excellent in their own right.
I'll tell you what, that comment today, and we're going to start shuffling around a lot of practices here going from Jacksonville and such, but Lawrence Toafili, I mean, I'm going to transition this just beautifully, but Lawrence Toafili in Jacksonville, I thought was the best back along with Rodney Hill during those days. I mean, Lawrence had a really good spring, and I tried to talk about that, but I think it was overlooked by Trey Benson, and that's understandable. Yes, that's a newcomer on the block, high guy, the guy that was injured. Now he's looking good, so everybody talked about him. But Lawrence Philly looked really, really nice. We know he's a pass catcher, but he looked good in goal line. He's good in red zone. I mean, we just don't talk about him as much. He's just not on one of those names at the top right now as the newcomer or a transfer or a freshman. Lawrence has looked good. And just like you said, D-Lou, today, Mike Norvell, just out of nowhere, nobody asked him. Whenever Norvell does that, he's really putting it out there, and he wants people to know this. Lawrence Philly has impressed him the most. He thinks he's the most improved player in fall camp, and that's saying something. You're going to see a lot of Lawrence Philly this upcoming season. Put on some size, but it kind of gets to the point now, and I think Florida State's fan base is understanding this. We've gotten to where we no longer need to worry about the weight and all the situations there with Lawrence. Does he need another 15, 20 pounds? It's over. The staff likes where he's at. David Johnson likes where he's at, and they're going to use him as a Swiss Army knife. And Lawrence has had a really good fall camp, which I'm excited for. He's earned it. And in Jacksonville, he looked really good. One of the names that I brought here on the document started off the practice on Thursday morning, jumping over on the outside run, taking it for 6. And I think a few plays later, it went to the same side and scored again. He looked good. And then one of your guys that you covered his recruitment really tight. Y'all still have a great relationship, but Rodney Hill, true freshman running back, absolutely broke out in Jacksonville and Duval. A really, really nice couple of practices.
That was on Friday, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Friday was the day where I think 3 or maybe 4 times he just sprinted all the way to the end zone by himself and just started screaming.
Yep.
He was having a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, and the funny thing was you had James Coleman over there, one of our friends, James Coleman, absolutely fired up about the run, just yelling. And you also had a whole group of other former Noles. You had Lonnie Pryor in the house, too. You had Janikowski over there, too. Corey Simon, a good boatload of Noles in attendance. Yeah, right there in that corner, too. So Rodney Hill, you could kind of see that when those true freshmen, he's rather quiet, just kind of the same way with Armella, but you kind of reach that point to where, man, I'm starting to get in a groove here and understand the system, understand the play calls. And I felt like that's when Rodney got it there. Cause I mean, that guy hit the hole at the perfect time. I think he had a play before that too, but this one, he took it for 6 and he was absolutely fired up. The whole offensive side of the field wanted to celebrate with him. One of the best plays, if not the best play of that Jacksonville trip, D-Lou.
Yeah, he was on it during that practice. There was a couple filthy just cutbacks. The hole closed up. He cut back to the weak side of the defense and just took it for either a touchdown or a big gain a couple times. But then, going back over to Toa Philly, I really like what you said earlier, Swiss Army knife, because we saw it last year. I think I said it a couple weeks ago, but he's the only guy in Florida. It was either one of 5 or the only guy in Florida State history that has scored both a 70-yard receiving touchdown and a 70-yard rushing touchdown in the same season at Florida State. So it just shows that he can make plays in the running game, catching the ball to the backfield. And now we're seeing that he's getting some work at the goal line. This is a guy that we're going to see a lot.
Yeah, Mike Norvell really likes what he's seen from Lawrence Philly. Those two having a really good couple of days of practice over there in Jacksonville. A few more names that jump out to me is Johnny Wilson and Sam Mccall. I thought Sam Mccall had a really good couple of days there, coming away with an interception or 2. And then Johnny Wilson being Johnny Wilson. I mean, kind of gets to the point where we're repeatedly talking about him just coming down with one-on-one balls there in the end zone. It's a quarterback's favorite. He's a quarterback's favorite right now just because of range you can utilize him with. But Johnny Wilson is someone that I thought very highly of in the spring. Didn't like what I saw with the inconsistencies with the drops in the spring game. I'm hoping that's fixed, man, because he's been in your top 5, probably top 3 of just a guy that puts on highlights and practices. Can it translate over to the football field? But just primarily sticking to that practice, he put on a show for a lot of those former Noles, and I talked to a few of them afterwards, and yeah, they're like what they see out of number 14.
Well, I mean, how do you guard them, especially when you get down there around the goal line where, everyone saw the clip on Twitter that's going around of him making that catch in the back corner of the end zone, balls up high where only he can touch it. I think maybe Jarian Jones was on him. And I mean, Jarian's not a small defensive back, and he was up in the air, but there's no way you can compete with 6'7" at its highest peak, especially when Jordan's putting the ball in a really good spot, which he did on that throw and a couple other times throughout that day. But Johnny Wilson, when he's catching the ball, and he's had more good days than bad throughout preseason camp, especially recently for Florida State, he's a weapon. And as you said, Logan, at this point, can it translate over to a game? Because we've seen it a lot in practice. We've seen these big plays, even outside of the red zone. He's just been making a lot of plays deep down the field. DBs cannot stay up in the air with that guy. He's a mismatch and carried over to a game.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Carried over to a football game. And I keep on telling my dad in text, I'm like, man, this guy, after leaving practice, I'm like, this guy is the real practice deal. If it can go into games, man. And I'm hoping that maybe after Duquesne and make some plays there that we can really go into this LSU game and say, man, you got to figure out who he matches up with, who LSU is going to put on him. Mm-hmm. Because right now I'm just excited to talk about it when it goes into matchups like next week when we do a small little preview on Duquesne. Like the matchups are, in such great favor of Wilson. And when we see it in practices, it's almost unstoppable. Just got to keep the catches. And, there are some inconsistencies today, I'll be honest with you. And we'll start transitioning over to this Tuesday practice in a minute. But, there's some still little baby inconsistencies, but it's more rare than anything. And, everybody has their off days, but Wilson could be a really good threat. And honestly, to be honest, for Jordan Travis too alone, he's needed a guy that can be a threat there. You kind of saw a little bit of it with Malik McLean, but now if you could put out both, which, I can't say anything of what they're doing play wise, but just imagine if you could, if you could line up over here Malik McLean, you could put over here Johnny Wilson. You've got two sizable threats there. And then if you could put in some guys experienced like Micah Pittman, who's shifty, there's a lot you can do. And there's a lot that fans should be excited for with what Norvell can do with this offense going into year 3. Let's jump into a few things from the second scrimmage. A lot of this stuff was on lockdown this week. There was rumblings out of the first scrimmage and it spread out all over social media. So I think Coach Norvell caught onto that along with the SIDs, and they really locked down on what was going on in this scrimmage. But we were there for the press conference, exchanged a few texts here and there with some people, but really the highlights here. Number one, the quarterbacks, and Jordan Travis looked really good. He looked smooth. He had 3 series. Mike Norvell told us today that he really liked what he saw from Jordan Travis, just managing the ball. And we've seen that all through fall camp, D-Lou. He's done a really good job of keeping the ball out of the defense's hands. And then, I had Tate also had a couple drives there that looked good. I mean, nothing much changed here from this first scrimmage. But I think the biggest thing to take away from is Jordan Travis continuing to progress there as a passer, and he doesn't scramble as much. It's extremely rare to see him scramble, and when you do see him scramble, you're like, oh my God, yeah, Jordan Travis is fast, and I don't know why it surprises me every time because we've seen it in games quite a bit, but in practices you don't see it as much. But out of the scrimmage, the number one thing I've heard, and Norvell confirmed it today, Jordan Travis looked really smooth in those 3 series.
And I think it just shows how comfortable where Florida State thinks Jordan Travis is right now. Just only have him go there for 3 series. I think Norvell said he completed, over 70% of his passes, but the majority of that work went to A.J. Duffy and Tate Rodemaker on Saturday night. And that's because you know what you have in Jordan Travis. And as we've said on this podcast throughout the last couple months, those improvements in the passing game are legitimate. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch Jordan Travis this upcoming season if he keeps playing like he has in fall camp. As you said, Logan, not a ton of turnovers. He's been connecting on deep balls with multiple wide receivers. It looks like this passing game is going to take a big step forward from where it was a season ago.
I want to mention another name, too, who is going to play quite a bit this upcoming season, in my opinion. That's Marquiston Douglas. Make sure I get that right. Marquiston Douglas. The biscuit, yes, the biscuit, as Coach Norvell and the rest of the staff calls him. But I got a quote here from Coach Atkins, Florida State's offensive line / offensive coordinator now, saying, I've been really pleased with his growth. He's faster than I thought he was. And I'll be honest with you, there's a few times where I'm like, okay, Marquiston's worked on his body, and that's something Coach Atkins talked about. Because if you go back and look at him last year, Marquiston, you might be watching this. I don't know. And if you see me at practice tomorrow, you can just run me over. But you were a little slower. I mean, he would confirm the same thing and agree with me, but definitely a slower guy. Coach Atkins told us in the press conference has been working on his body, man, and he looks a lot more smoother. He's been catching the balls, and that's someone that needs to step up. We've been looking for someone to step up in this tight end room. That has been one of the biggest question marks, D-Lou. Marquiston, I think, has done that. I want to see it in a game, but you're seeing the growth, the signs of growth there, and I think that's what Coach Thomason and Coach Norvell, they want to see from him because he can be utilized, and definitely – in the blocking game, he's got the size for that. But if they could also add in that passing attack with him, kind of like how in the later the season last year we saw Jordan Wilson do, the UCLA transfer tight end. If he could kind of start developing into that and grabbing a passing attack into his talents, that's a good sign there for Florida State on the tight end group. But I thought it was significant that out of some guys that the coaches were naming after the scrimmage, Marquiston Douglas was brought up.
Yeah, he's been a consistent performer for Florida State throughout fall camp. And Norvell even said on Saturday night that he had a huge play against the defense. And he also mentioned Wyatt Rector in that room. But for Marquiston, I think really, and you kind of alluded to it, it's really just been that physical development. He really committed to the offseason program and dropped some weight coming into fall camp. Still probably 285 pounds, maybe needs to trim up a little bit more, but he's slowly been getting there going into his third year in the program, and he's come alive during fall camp. And with Jordan Wilson moving on, he's got a good shot to step into that role as Florida State's blocking tight end, and that should be an exciting combination to kind of see him work alongside Cameron McDonald and Wyatt Rector. We'll see who else, Preston Daniel, whoever else gets involved in that tight end rotation.
One more thing I want to note from this, and another guy you were close with during his recruitment, and great kid, looking forward. He's going to have a strong future in Tallahassee. That's Kanaya Charlton. Got some run with the ones during the scrimmage. Got to see him in practice today too, get a lot of opportunities. He's a guy that has the size for sure, still needs to trim up a little bit, but you're seeing Armella get in there with the ones. You're seeing Kanaya. I like it. I know some people are like, well, what's going on? Who's injured? Who's that? I will say, there's at least comforting things to know that a lot of this is just giving opportunities to some of these younger guys that haven't had any experience or just a little bit of experience. But to these guys, Kanaya and Armella, these are true freshmen coming in. I like the signs that I'm seeing out of Kanaya and definitely Armella, but Kanaya, your guy, man, got in there and got some work with the ones during the scrimmage. Good for him.
They both, Kanaya and Julian Armella, they are both making some really impressive strides as of late. And it feels like they're ahead of the curve compared to maybe some of the other true freshman offensive linemen and some of the newcomer offensive linemen. I've been really impressed with both of their efforts throughout practice. And they're true freshmen. There's going to be mistakes there. There's going to be mistakes on the offensive line whenever you're a junior or a senior. But it says a lot for Mike Norvell to go ahead and mention that both of those guys have taken first-team reps during Florida State's first two scrimmages. The future is bright on that offensive line. Can you guys remember where we were just 2, 3, 4 years ago? We're headed for greener pastures.
Greener pastures. That's a good way to put it. Good way to put it. So that wraps up the second scrimmage. That is the final scrimmage of the fall camp season for FSU. So now it's on to which will be game week, obviously in week 0. This week right now is just the last week of fall camp, and the next week is game week. So they will not have any more scrimmages. Thank God. But thank goodness there's no more scrimmages. That the tough part, I think, is out of the way. And we'll talk about this more later on just because we have so much stuff to go through. But just kind of going off of what Norvell was saying in the scrimmage or after the scrimmage, I just felt a lot more confidence coming from him after what we heard from him like in the first scrimmage. I just felt a lot more like answers were given to him because there was a lot of question marks, like he said, after that first scrimmage and looking back at a film. I felt like there was a lot of answers and nothing really stuck out differently than what he saw in film after the second one. Everything stayed the same, and he did like that. And there's some promising things. If you guys haven't gone and listened to the interview from today, felt like everything looked good from both on field and whenever you looked and put on the computer to watch the film afterwards. So that's a good feeling there.
I think maybe last thing before we move on from the scrimmage that maybe we should note on, Darius Washington took some, as Norvell noted, took some live reps during that scrimmage, and I don't know what's going on out there, but also took some reps during Tuesday's practice as well. And I think they're kind of working him across that offensive line because he's a guy who's really versatile, and we'll see what position ends up suiting him the best because Florida State, obviously, they've got a lot of bodies in that room.
Yep, they do. That's a good sign. I'm glad you mentioned that, or the good thing you brought that up, because Darius Washington getting some live reps is something that we haven't really been able to see. He's been limited to start off fall camp, but him getting full-time reps is huge for FSU, and getting a guy that is a starter that you had last year, getting him back into a groove with the good amount of time left too. I mean, I know people are freaking out, but there's a lot of time here for some healing to be done and continued getting back into the groove of things, like I said, for Darius, and as much needed. So, and he's a big leader, at least seeing him out there today too, and team drills going at it. He is a leader on that offensive line. You can stack that up with Dylan Gibbons and then also Robert Scott.
Reese Smith too. He's been a vocal leader throughout fall camp. A couple of those veterans in that room, I've been really impressed by the leadership they've showed. Even some of the true freshmen. Some real self-accountability going on there.
I was going to say, I feel like that has been upped, at least from the veterans' point of view, D-Lou, because of the big freshman class coming in. And they know that they need to set an example for those newcomers. And I feel like that's only just transcended over there to the young guys. The younger guys, they're not calling out or making sure the older guys are in the right spot. But whenever it's the freshman to freshman, you'll see Armella go over and have a few chats here and there. And Kanaya Charlton. That's a good thing that you want, and exactly what Mike Norvell wants to have in his locker room, something that he's been wanting to change for 3 years now. Getting that accountability and leaders, grow that from the freshman class. Don't start it at juniors, seniors. Start it from that freshman class, and that's what Mike Norvell that's exactly what he wants here in Tallahassee. All right, let's jump into Tuesday's practice. We won't spend too much time here, but up and down. I would say an up and down. It's understandable. They just went through a crazy streak, a long stretch of practices, and along with traveling and also having a scrimmage. Up and down practice. A lot of inconsistencies from the quarterbacks this morning. Just an up and down day. But even with the tight ends and wide receivers, some drops here and there. You're hoping to see a bounce back tomorrow. One of the highlights, though, I will mention, Kentron Portier had an incredible grab down the field. And Duquesne has talked about him along with Norvell. I thought he was one of the top guys out of the spring, kind of has had a slower start to fall camp, but that catch today was incredible. Going up deep, probably about 30, 35 yards down the field, one-on-one situation, jumps up acrobatically, grabs it, and then lands on his back and is able to hold on to the ball for a big-time game. Coach Norvell really liked what he saw from number 88 today.
I didn't see that one, but I will raise you another really nice catch I saw, and down there towards the red zone, I think Jordan Travis threw it towards the corner to Preston Daniel, and Bethune was right there in tight coverage, got his hand on the ball, tipped it, and Preston Daniel was able to get both feet inbounds, readjust, and come down with the football inbounds. And Bethune just kind of stood there and was just like, man, like, what else could I have done? It was a great play by both parties.
It was, yeah. And then Micah Pittman also had a really nice grab too. So you're going to have those practices, ups and downs, but it is what it is. I will say, though, on the defensive side, a lot of guys did not have some ups and downs. And I'm talking about Joshua Farmer. I mean, I feel like we've talked about him quite a bit, Elu, throughout this fall camp. But today, once again, it gets to the point where he just rips through that offensive line. And there's no knock on the offensive line. I know if I say that, then someone's going to wonder, oh, my God, the offensive line is horrid. No, Joshua Farmer is just playing really good right now. And I thought, put on some good size and a little bit more size than I thought he really needed in that spring. And it took him a little while to get used to it. But now conditioning for a couple months, definitely in that Tallahassee heat, has helped him. and he is looking really good, and it's becoming on a consistent basis. Coach Odell Higgins is very hands-on with Farmer. He's been that way since he arrived, and that only tells me that Odell really thinks highly of what Farmer can be. The ceiling is very high, and Odell is going to make sure that he's coached up hard, and it's working. And Farmer is looking really good. He's going to be such a great piece there in that defensive line unit of being able to utilize him in case you got to have a couple guys out for reps or plays during a game. You can throw Farmer in there, and you can get a guy that's going to come right through that middle and use his strength. I thought Farmer has had a good camp, but today he just reminded me, Farmer, number 44, to watch out for him in 2022.
He's got a ton of potential, and once he refines a little bit, becomes a little bit more technically sound, which we know he will under the watchful eye of Coach Higgins. It's going to be really exciting to see where Joshua Farmer ends up at Florida State when it's all said and done, because, man, the work the kid has put in on his body, just absolutely insane, and he's figuring out to play with it every practice. I think you're just seeing him get better and better. And sticking with the defensive side, let's go in that defensive backfield. Bernardo Green made an absolutely insane play. We talked about how Johnny Wilson is impossible to guard in the end zone. Jordan Travis tried to go to him at one point during practice in the end zone, and Bernardo Green came leaping out of nowhere to make an amazing play on the ball and pick it off. And Coach Fuller, very excited about that one.
Yeah, no, I've seen Fuller get very excited for those interceptions, and he will sometimes come and dap your hand up, and it hurts sometimes. He's so excited. So I've learned firsthand that Adam Fuller does like his takeaways. Another player that I want to mention is one that we haven't talked about a whole ton, I'll be honest with you guys, and that's Amari Gainer. I thought he had his best day today. He was everywhere around the ball, put himself in right positions, had a PBU today. Gainer had a really nice practice, and he's just someone we don't mention a lot just because we're always trying to figure out where Adam Fuller and what Coach Randy Shannon wanted to do with him, just because he's got that different type of body that you don't really know. He's a hybrid. You can put him down there at the pass rush, or you put him back at linebacker. Just seemed like things worked today, and they're doing a lot more with a little bit of installs too, and he just looks smooth, and he put himself in a good spot to almost come away with a few takeaways. But Amari Gainer looked good.
Yeah, I don't know how else you can say it. Amari Gainer looked good. And another linebacker I've been impressed with throughout preseason camp, Brendan Gant, making that transition over from defensive back. There was one play during team drills. He had a tight end blocking him. He was able to shed the block and then make a tackle on the running back I couldn't tell if it was no gain or a tackle for loss, but either way, seeing him shed the block, put the tight end on their back, and then tackle a running back. Nice play from Gant. And even in Jacksonville, he was making a couple plays throughout the last couple weeks. Logan, I've talked to you about it a couple times. Been really, really impressed with Gant's effort throughout fall camp.
Yeah, and that's another one where I'm interested to see how they use him, because he's a guy that can fly off and bring a really good pressure aspect to his game, to that whole Florida State defense, or he can stuff the run. He's an interesting kind of body type. He does not look like a full-on linebacker. Yeah, he's put on some size, but he's still not going to be like a Tatum Bethune. He's not going to be the size of DJ Lundy or Steven Dix, but he's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just because his last name's Gant, but he's just an annoying gnat. I feel like that it'll come down and fly and just nail you. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up as it goes. But yeah, Gant has looked good. And I think too with him, he's just got experience. He's got experience, and it just kind of comes easy for him to be in the right spot at the right time to come down and smash you. So let's jump into some recruiting stuff to end off before we jump into the season preview and record predictions. Florida State grabbing some defensive commits. Defensive lineman Tavion Gadsden commits to Florida State over Tennessee. Hopefully I said that name right, D. Lou. Did I say that right? Tavion Gadsden? Yeah, I said it right.
I think so.
Yeah, this one we kind of had a feeling was going to be in Florida State's favor for a little while now, definitely after the previous visit. But what are your thoughts on this pickup for Florida State and Odell Higgins here, a guy that obviously decided to go Florida State over SEC? Do you think this was mainly relationships, or what do you think it went into here?
Yeah, I think relationships played a pretty large part in this one, and it's just another nice pickup for Florida State on that defensive line. You look at this 2023 class. Now we'll talk about KJ Kirkland in a minute, but you're up to 14 verbal commitments so far through the middle of August. 5 of those are on the defensive line, 7 total linemen in the class if you count Roderick Kearney and Lucas Simmons over there on the offensive side. But you add Tavian Gadsden to what is a heck of a haul, and he's probably going to fit more on the interior side, I would say, probably a defensive tackle at the next level. So he'll be there alongside KJ Sampson. Depending on how things work out with Jordan Hall and a couple other targets, this might be the last defensive lineman that Florida State goes after in the class. It's really just going to come down to numbers. But Jordan Hall is definitely someone they want. They're right there involved with them with Georgia and Florida. Getting Gadsden in the fold this early, nice pickup for FSU.
Nice snag there. And then, like you said, KJ Kirkland, this is one I'm really excited for. Defensive back, commits to Florida State over Kentucky. At some point, it felt like Kentucky had the swing here, but for the last week or so, and now obviously committed to Florida State, it went back over to Coach Woodson and the Seminoles and Mike Norvell. This one, I think, is a guy that has a really high ceiling. The staff sees a lot in him. Has competed very well in camps, too, including a guy that I know Florida State's fan base doesn't like talking about, but competed very well, if not the best, in one of those camps against Travis Hunter. I like Kirkland a lot. This is a really nice pickup for Florida State. What are your thoughts? And, what went into this recruitment? Because this is one that was highly targeted for a while now.
We talked about him last week. This is a guy about 6'2", has that long and lengthy frame that Coach Woodson and Coach Fuller and Norvell are looking for in their defensive backs. Look at Azari Thomas and Sam McCall. They both have a similar frame to what KJ Kirkland will be bringing into Florida State. They just like to find guys that have a lot of versatility and, they can play at different spots throughout that backfield, which that's where they see Kirkland. He's a guy that can play corner. He can play nickel. He can play safety. It's kind of something that Florida State's going to figure out once he does get to campus. And this one, again, came down to relationships. I think Coach JP, Coach Fuller, Coach Woodson have spent a ton of time recruiting Kirkland. And last week I talked about Roderick Kearney as well, a guy from the Jacksonville area who has also been in Kirkland's ear as of late, trying to get him to join the tribe. Coming out of that Seminole showcase on July 30th, Kirkland said that Florida State was in first with Kentucky as a close second. Seemed like a couple of days after the event, Kentucky took the lead, but then Florida State was able to turn the tide within the last couple of days before Kirkland made his announcement. So to land this guy, a 4-star on 247, one of the best, I would say, defensive backs in Florida, and probably now the best defensive back that they have committed in this 2023 class. Kirkland is someone I like a lot, and he's primed to be a riser throughout his senior season in the rankings. And like I said, now Florida State, 14 verbal commitments, and the number 20 class in the country, according to 247 Sports, a far cry from where they were a couple months ago when I think they were in the 40s or 50s.
They're climbing up. They're secretly and quietly climbing up there. And as noted in the doc here, you said 7 of 14 are linemen. And so Florida State continuing to push that trenches and that target of building that area, because Florida State needs that. They need that, and they're continuing to do that, and they're finding answers in either recruiting. They can find in the portal at times, but primarily recruiting right now. They're doing a really good job both offensively and defensively, D-Lou.
They're flipping the trenches on their head. It was pretty dreary in the spring. Florida State missed out on a couple targets. Didn't look like there was much momentum. And then, man, ever since June, 10 of the 14 commitments in this 2023 class have come over the past 3 months. So it's been an impressive stretch for Florida State. They're going to try and get a lot of guys in for official visits, obviously, throughout the 2022 season. I think they're trying to do things later in the year, or even more towards December following the season, depending on the timelines for certain targets. So we'll be monitoring that throughout the fall.
Tom here on Facebook is asking, any news on the linebacker from California? And this is Blake Nicholson, who most recently visited Florida State. Seemed like Florida State was in a really good spot here. I believe there's a timeline that's been shared from Blake this week. But anything that you're hearing on your end, D-Lou, on that?
Nothing really new on my end. I believe the intention is for Nicholson to decide within the next couple of weeks, and it's going to come down to that same top three that he's had for a while now: Florida State, Oregon, and UCLA, coming out of this recent multi-day unofficial visit to Tallahassee, where Nicholson was around for 4 days and was at multiple practices, spent a ton of time with the coaching staff, even namely general manager Derek Ray, which both of those guys are from the same area. I feel like Florida State is in a really good position in this recruitment, and now they just have to close it out.
Well, speaking of closing it out, we are going to go ahead and get that off the screen because we are not doing record predictions right now.
No, we're not.
No, we're not going to. We're going to just go straight into that. Go from Blake Nicholson to record predictions. We will not be doing that. But that is going to wrap up the first part of this podcast. So hope everybody has enjoyed that. Make sure you go grab something to drink, something more, grab something to eat, because we got another hour left of going through the entire 2022 FSU football schedule and giving our predictions game by game. And then we will be kind of adds up. You'll get the record prediction at the end, and then we'll go offensive, defensive players of the year along with freshmen. It's my favorite segment of the year to do, just to see how completely wrong we are, because I think we all kind of were a little off last year. Let's jump into it, gentlemen. Let's get started.
Well, first off, do you guys remember what your record prediction was last year?
I think I had 6-6.
I said 6-6.
I might have been 7-5, and I think you were 6-6. I think that's what it was.
I think I went
Logan,
7-5.
You had to be an 8-4 guy.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Above us.
No, there's no way I was 7-5. Probably should have went back and looked at some of these.
Probably
should have gone back and looked at some of these, to be honest with you. I mean, oopsies. But, well, maybe I'll do maybe VZ can. Never mind. It might be too much work to figure that out. But anyways, Florida State going into now with Mike Norvell going into its third season, a big-time season ahead. D-Lou and I were texting earlier. This is not going to be an easy schedule for Florida State heading into it. A lot of different things. The number one, you start in week 0. And in my opinion, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love that they're out there early. I think it honestly gives them a little bit of an edge. Yeah, you're kind of dealing with what's happening now. Little guys getting dinged up here and there, but there's some time now for them to heal. You kind of understand what your depth chart is starting to look like. You understand who fits where best. I love it. I wish Florida State could do it all the time, and I wish Florida State could do this all the time starting off in week 0 against a team like Duquesne, which to me, I don't want to spend too much time on it. I don't think we should. I know
sure?
Here we go. And people are going to hate you in the comments, but I'm officially over the Jacksonville State stuff. I've cleared it out of my mind. That was a wreck. It was funny. That was the week that we signed with SI to, be credentialed to be in the spot that we're at to give you guys some real scoop at practice and stuff. That was the week that we signed with SI. So maybe all the blame can go on to us for that. But I will tell you, there's no other signing going on. We were not signing anywhere else. So this should keep it to where Florida State should start off the season 1-0 and not lose to a janky-ass team. So Florida State versus Duquesne, this is going to be next Saturday, which sounds crazy. Saturday.
Is crazy.
That is weird to say. But next Saturday, Florida State will be facing Duquesne at 5 p.m. inside Doak Campbell Stadium to kick off the 2022 season. Gentlemen, we're not doing score predictions because we'll do that next week. But win-loss, what do we got?
I think the team's moved on from the Jacksonville State game. At least we hope so. I know there's a lot of fans that haven't, but I think they'll get it out of their system. Hopefully this is over by middle of the third quarter. You can pull the starter, see what you have in the 2 deep. This should be an easy win, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm planning to predict a W in this one, but you've got to think about what happened last year. I want to write it off as a fluke, but still just a little scary for my end. You look at Duquesne, 7-3 last year. Haven't had a losing record since 2014. Starting quarterback Darius Washington is back for his second season as a starter, along with their leading rusher. And they're replacing some talent on defense, but they do have a couple capable pass rushers, guys that recorded 4+, 2 guys that recorded 4+ sacks last season. Logan's pouring a drink over there. I'm just saying we gotta show Duquesne respect, because obviously Jacksonville State did not get enough respect on this show last year. I predicted a 58-0 win. So I'm staying a little cautious this time around. That's all I'm saying. I'm pretty sure it was either 58 or 59-0.
I think it's two different programs. Jacksonville State's got, not, I'm going to say good talent, but good enough talent to where there'll be an actual D1 program next year. No one's saying that about Duquesne.
Duquesne has a winning culture.
I don't give a damn. I'm going to be honest.
I'm right there with you, VZ. And before we move along to the next games, everybody in the chat, we didn't do this last year. We were kind of our first year into streaming, but everybody in the chat, Facebook, YouTube, everybody's in here right now, very active tonight. Put in your score prediction. Every game we go by, put in your score predictions so we can get a feel if you're crazy or not. We're not, but they are. They can. Yeah, get an early kind of feel.
All right, so we'll say Duquesne win, all three, right?
Yep, Duquesne win. Florida State starts off 1-0 for the first time since 2016. God dang it. Ole Miss in Orlando. I was there for that one. Derwin James, man, popped off. But yeah, Florida State's going to start off. We got a couple people in here, 52-10, 54. Fred saying 52-10. Trey
don't say 59-0. Don't say
that. Yeah, don't say that.
It's cursed.
No. So yeah, Florida State's going to start off the season 1-0. And if it doesn't happen that way, I think we've got to cancel the pod for a little while.
I mean, you won't catch me on here.
You'll see me on here with another how many days till basketball season sign hanging right about there.
Exactly. I might be there with you, to be honest, or I might have to just finally go cover baseball. It just feels like everything's pointing to that, so it might be time. Anyways, all right, let's move over to week one of the college football season, which is stacked all the way around, but the focus here is on Florida State in New Orleans against LSU. I am absolutely stoked for this matchup. I think this is a fair matchup between both teams at the point that they're at. I mean, I understand Brian Kelly's first year, but LSU's got talent, man, and we'll be there for full coverage. That's going to be on Sunday night, Labor Day weekend. So prime time once again for the Seminoles. We're all going to be there covering it, which is going to be fun also. Just got to make sure that we tone down the alcohol percentage. Might have to have VZ drive me back or get me back to the hotel on Saturday night like he did during the spring game, which that was sad. I was getting
Will you guys watch Titanic together?
No, we will not.
That was a one-time thing. No.
That was a one-time. Okay, did we do that?
Yes.
I don't remember.
I know you don't.
Anyways, so Florida State versus LSU. I'm expecting what kind of crowd are we expecting? Because I understand Florida State sold a lot of tickets, 35,000, I believe, in Florida State's favor. Still could be some LSU fans that grab those tickets, but majority of those being FSU fans. But this is going to be LSU heavy, in my opinion. But hopefully Florida State fan base shows up. How are we feeling about this game, gentlemen? How are we feeling? Because this is a pivotal game for Mike Norvell. I mean, if you think about it, too, a lot of this goes into recruiting on that front. I mean, you're trying to impress and come away with a win to maybe have a shot at Hakeem Williams, 5-star wide receiver. Even Jalen Brown, who's currently committed to LSU. I don't think that recruitment's fully over either. He'll be in attendance for that. What are we thinking here, man? This is going to be a fun. And it seems like Miles Brennan, he's done with playing football. It seems like they're going to go on the Jaden Daniels route, which I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm not so sold on Jaden Daniels. I don't know if anybody else in the chat is either. I mean, James Blackman throws 4 interceptions. Your starting running back is Deontay Sheffield, and you barely beat him by 4 points. I think it was 28-24. I don't know. I'm sorry, Jaden. This D-line is a little bit different than what it was. And the pass rush is going to be a lot different than what it was. I'll go ahead and tell you that. But it's going to be a good battle, though, in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line for Florida State. That's probably going to be the matchup of the year between Florida State, probably Clemson, too. But OL, DL. It's going to be fun to watch on that Sunday night in New Orleans, baby. What are we feeling? What are y'all like? What are y'all feeling? What do we got?
It's gonna be interesting because obviously LSU is gonna have a week of film on us, whereas we won't have any film on them in their current setup. Obviously, I don't think any of us are expecting us to show the whole playbook against Duquesne, but they're still gonna have something. But it's also first game as LSU's head coach Brian Kelly, so you don't really know what to expect. Hopefully, Florida State's still got the Notre Dame loss fresh on their mind from last year, and they'll want to get payback for that. We're also overlooking a very important factor, and it is that I will be in attendance. And
no! Wait, hold up.
For those who are just joining,
let everybody know because there's a lot of new viewers and listeners here from last year.
For those who are just now joining, I am 0 for my last 9 in FSU sporting events, both basketball and football. So
0-9. 0-9.
0-9.
Should we keep? And if people put this in the chat here, because I'm gonna have to get my money back too. So you're gonna have to also send some money. But should we keep VZ at home and not have him come to the game with us?
It's too late for this. It's the plane tickets are booked, hotels are booked. New Orleans is one of my favorite cities.
We just gotta make sure that plane goes down.
That's crazy.
Okay, what the? Okay,
right,
that was a little too far there. That was a little too far.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, that was like way too far.
You got win or loss, Austin.
No, don't.
Dustin talk first. Then we'll give a prediction.
Ooh, Lordy.
Well, I think it's going to be close no matter what. Should be a good atmosphere. Like you said, Logan, I think LSU is going to have a slight advantage with the crowd, but regardless, having that many Florida State and LSU fans around New Orleans for a couple of days leading up to the game is only going to make the atmosphere, I think, that much better on Sunday night. But it's going to be close. I'm going, LSU, they've got that quarterback battle going on right now. Looks like it's down to Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier, and there's some optimism around their running game and that defensive line. They do have some youth on the offensive line, but I'm going LSU close.
LSU close? Ooh.
I'm going LSU close as well.
Thanks,
literally
Austin.
only because I will be in attendance.
I know.
0-10, baby.
Isn't it sad? Like, I now should have added this in my notes. Like, I have to add this for our game preview. That's in our notes. Like, that's probably one of the plain top 3 factors of Florida State versus LSU, that VZ will be in attendance. But this will be his 10th game, though.
And it's worth noting, overall, I have a very good attendance record over my lifetime. I was there for a very successful part of Florida State basketball history. But,
what's your football record?
34-17. So not terrible.
Strange you know that off the top of your head.
I have it. I have my notes pulled up.
That's falling quickly, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. If in case you're curious, that includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight losses. No, sorry, 6 straight losses.
It's not funny. Stop laughing.
No, it's pretty funny.
No.
It's pretty funny.
It is not. It is definitely not funny. Oh goodness, no. Like I said, I'm not sold on Jane Daniels. I mean, I understand he's a dual threat guy. I'm over the whole Florida State. He needs to be worried. Dual threat. Yes, it's in the past. It's nightmares. Yes, we get it. But I feel like Florida State's done a pretty good job of really singling out and making sure the target, like they did. It's not a running guy, but in the passing attack, like they did Tyler Van Dyke. Florida State has done a good job of preparing for quarterbacks, in my opinion. For the most part, you look back at Sam Howell too, and what they were able to do. I feel good. I mean, if you look at Sam Howell, I mean, he got wrecked. I mean, for the most part, there's some things in the second half where it was like, okay, well, let's make sure that we're still playing a game. But I think Florida State's game plans against quarterbacks has been good. I think Norvell knows what to do against Jane Daniels, and Adam Fuller knows to put a good scheme against him. I think it's going to come down to playmakers, and these kind of games it is. I mean, there's talent everywhere. I just think Florida State's trenches, man, get after that quarterback, whoever it is, and especially if it is Jane Daniels. He's known and prone to throw interceptions. I'm not going to go into a full friggin' breakdown here because
what's his stats?
For 2 weeks. Heck no, I'm not saving that for 2 weeks. I ain't doing that crap right now. He ain't worth it to me, in my opinion. But I've got it written down.
Well, you've got to say it, so we don't really.
I've got it written down. I think Florida
State. It's a win or a
State,
loss, buddy.
I think FSU fans are going to leave that stadium very happy, and they're going to be partying. I think they're going to be partying down the streets in New Orleans. I got Florida State winning that game and going 2-0 to start the season. Number one reason being a full, healthy Jordan Travis, and hopefully, unless something crazy goes on against Duquesne, you're bringing in a healthy room. They're not going to put a lot on tape for Brian Kelly to look at, and Minor is due to get a win against Brian Kelly. They almost did it last year. I think this team is much more matured, and they understand how to compete against Brian Kelly. They should have beat him. Yeah, they should have absolutely beat him. That's why I've got FSU going 2-0 to start the season. All right, let's jump over to a bye week.
Who wins the bye week this time? Because we've seen Florida State lose bye weeks in the past.
The training tables. Maybe. Hopefully someone gets healed after the LSU game, because that's going to be a physical game. But I'm glad Florida State has a bye week after that, just because they have week 0 starting off the season. And then we get on the road, really again here, going to Louisville. What's all the hoopla about Louisville this offseason? I know that they've got a lot of guys returning. A lot of people respect that coaching staff. Florida State should have done. I don't even want to talk about last season, but ended up losing 31-23 at home. It's tough to kind of go back and talk about it, but real quick, Florida State's going to go over there and travel to Louisville this upcoming season. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, yeah, you kind of said it. They've got some talent coming back, namely Malik Cunningham, who was only 54 yards away from being a 3,000-yard passer as well as a 1,000-yard rusher last season. So he was really good for Louisville, now entering his third year in the system. And obviously the Cardinals have defeated Mike Norvell and the Seminoles each of the past 2 seasons. 2020 was pretty embarrassing last year, 31-0 before Florida State starts to make that second half rally and falls just short on a Hail Mary pass from Mackenzie Milton to Parchment that was intercepted. So this is a Louisville team returning Malik Cunningham. Then they've also got one of their best running backs back in Jalen Mitchell, along with tight end Marshawn Ford, who was a thorn in FSU's side last season. The Cardinals right there to contend for the Atlantic Division. We'll see what they do. I've got Louisville winning this one.
I'll go next, VZ. I've got Florida State losing this game. Like I said, I think it's going to be a really physical game over there in New Orleans. Yes, you get the bye week. That's going to help. But I don't like Friday games. I don't like that. I'm just not a fan. And those are things that when I was younger watching that Florida State, it just doesn't usually go well. But they're at Louisville, and like you said, Malik Cunningham's coming back. I think he's gonna grow into being a really good quarterback this upcoming season. The ACC. I've got Florida State losing this game. This one I don't know. I don't know, but that might change. I know we're gonna do our record predictions, but it might change when we come into game week.
It can always change.
Yeah. If everybody's healthy, though. Oh, sorry. If everybody's healthy, though, you know what I'm saying. But now, go ahead, VZ.
I feel like everyone's nervous for this game because it's a weekday game in Louisville, and everyone thinks back to that 2002 game.
I don't.
I do, because every time we play Louisville, they show a replay of it. It's just you go up there and you choke in Louisville, and I think that has everyone kind of nervous, and I don't blame them. I think Florida State's going to lose this game as well.
So right now, D-Lou and VZ are at 1 and 2. I'm at 2-1. Yep. That's where we're at. Gentlemen. Do we see a swing upwards, though, for Florida State whenever Boston College comes to town on September 24th? We don't have a kickoff time for this one yet, but I expect a good 3:30. I'm feeling like a good 3:30 against Boston College just feels right. Wouldn't be shocked. Maybe if it's 7:30, but 3:30, it just seems right. What are y'all first thoughts about Boston College coming in town? They got a quarterback, though, that some people are very high on.
Another conference team, another Atlantic Division team that's returning a lot of experience. Quarterback Phil Jurkovich back again. Wide receiver Zay Flowers back again. Jaden Woodby back again. Their leading rusher. He's back
Don't
again
laugh
as
like
well.
that.
So
Don't tell me what to do.
Boston College gave Florida
Yeah.
State a game last season up there in Boston. It was a battle down to the final couple of minutes. I know Florida State, they jumped out to that lead, and then the Eagles were kind of able to make a comeback there before Florida State shut the door on them late. So this should be another one that's going to be a close game, but I do have Florida State rebounding in Doak Campbell Stadium to get to 2-2.
I feel like Dustin's cheating off my notes.
I took a lot of notes throughout the day, buddy.
Yeah, but I feel like you're taking from mine, which I'm not a huge fan of. I also have Florida State winning this game against Boston College. I just think it's, obviously I think a lot of people are big fans of Boston College's quarterback. He's got production. He's played well. He should have beaten Clemson in Clemson last year. I just, it's Boston College. You would like to think you can beat that team.
You would like to think that, wouldn't you? I think I got Florida State winning this game. I do. Back at home, and it feels weird. Florida State going to here in the comments. Florida State starting off 3-1. I mean, wow, what a reverse from last year going 0-4. But I got Florida State definitely at home. I'm not too worried about this matchup, and I like Florida State's pass rush. A lot of these predictions are coming off of my optimism of Florida State's pass rush. It's not going to be the same caliber, I don't think, as Keir Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, but I still think they're going to be a threat this upcoming season. And we're not talking enough about that interior. I mean, Florida State, Fabian Love and Robert Cooper have been menacing that offensive line throughout fall camp, and they're going to do the same. They're ready to go after some other guys. I got Florida State beating Boston College here at home. Let's jump over to the next game. This is a big one because it's going to come down if Sam Hartman is healthy or not after undergoing some health stuff that's taken him away from the football field for a little while here, taking care of him. So, hope, a great quarterback. Hope he makes it back, but I think Florida State fans are hoping that he doesn't make it back by the week.
At least for that game.
That game week, yeah. Florida State fans don't want to see him back. Maybe he can come back on October 8th if he wants to. But Florida State and Wake Forest will go at it. This will be a back-to-back home weekend for Florida State, facing the Demon Deacons. They're ranked number 22 in the country heading into the season. No time for kickoff has been announced. This is going to come down to Sam Hartman. If I'm going to go off of Sam Hartman not being out there, Sam Hartman did some things last year that I don't want to see again happen to Florida State's defense. And I love how I said earlier, Florida State's prepared very well for quarterbacks in the past.
Yeah, you forgot about him, huh?
I mentioned that. The majority, Florida State did a good job of, but did not do a splendid job at all. That was just a disgusting game last year, if you think about it. Throwing in how many? You had two quarterbacks. You kind of had a.
Well, remember it was
Mackenzie Milton.
But do you remember? I think. Yeah, it was because you were there. But the first five drives of the game, it was a different quarterback every drive. It was just Milton, Travis, pick, fumble.
Oh, don't even get me started.
It was just a weird turnover game. That's what it was.
Yeah. I believe 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Felt like 10.
4 by Milton.
Felt like 10.
It was not a good game. But
Florida State lost 35-14, in case anybody was wondering, in case they wanted to have that put in your brain again. But that was on the road. Maybe if you're in Doak, things change here. And right now, I'm not expecting Sam Hartman to play. I don't know about you guys, but it just seems like it's a little too early. There's things you can never really. You can try to make a guess, but we're not medical people here, I don't think. So don't know how that.
I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. But Sam Hartman or no Sam Hartman, what are your thoughts on this game? Another one here, because I'm in a really risky spot here. I'm at 3-1. I need to choke it back a little bit.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think we've got to put some respect on Wake Forest just for what they did last year, 11-3, the ACC runner-up, and I had this game as a loss going into it before the Sam Hartman news. But if Sam Hartman is unable to return to the lineup, I do have Florida State taking this game just because I think he's a really big swing. That guy's one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the ACC right now. Obviously, he's been around forever and has played a ton of college football. That experience does a lot for the Wake Forest offense. All right, dog. But then also just looking at some of the other guys on the roster, A.T. Perry, 6'5", 1,200 plus yards last year, 15 receiving touchdowns, heck of a threat on the outside that Florida State's going to have to deal with. Thankfully, they've got a Johnny Wilson that they've been going up against all preseason. But the main thing about Wake Forest to me is their defense isn't that good. And we see what we think is going to be a big improvement for Florida State on offense, particularly in the passing game. They should be able to find some holes to take advantage of. So if Sam Hartman's unable to return, which who knows at this time, they haven't disclosed what the issue was or any kind of timetable, I'm going to go Florida State over Wake Forest to get to 3-2.
It's certainly a tough one. It's one of those that we'll probably flip-flop on, 1,000 times until we get to that week and we know exactly what's going on with Sam Hartman. It's one of those that I feel like Dave Clawson isn't getting enough credit for how good of a coach he is. He's done a phenomenal job there in Winston-Salem last few years. And people don't realize that, Florida State's dominating the all-time series in this. But 6 of Wake Forest wins in this series, they only have 8. 6 of them have come in the last 15 years. For now, I'm going to have Wake winning, but don't be surprised if that flip-flops the week of the game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you kind of here. And we got to start talking the stretch that Florida State's going on here. I mean, you're going to go from Boston College, you got Wake Forest, and you go at NC State, then you've got Clemson. We're going to start getting into the stretch here. We got to start figuring out, you're going through a battle here week by week. It all is going to depend on Sam Hartman right now. This could change depending on if Hartman's back, but right now I got Florida State winning this game at home. I think Mike Norvell, he's got this one on his mind. I mean, he's got one of these teams circled, and I do think Florida State comes away with a win here. And the defense is just going to have to continue to get after it. And then, like D-Lou said, if Florida State can get a passing attack going, and they're going to have enough time then, you're going into your 5th game of the season, that passing attack has got to be there by now. That's going to help a ton. But we got Florida State coming away with the win. It could change if Sam Hartman's here. On October 8th, this is always the fun one, gentlemen. This is always a good time. I absolutely hated whenever I was younger when my dad took me up there. Shout out to my dad. But we went up there. We both didn't have a really fun time because I think Florida State lost that game. But NC State fans are pieces of living blank.
Not just in football either. Their basketball fans are just as bad.
Yeah, NC State fans suck. I mean, if you're out there, you suck. Go eat a bag. But y'all suck. But I don't like Florida State. I don't like Florida State's chances here. I don't. I got Florida State losing this game. But you know what? You know what's so crazy in my mind, and I've gotten written down here. Florida State should have never lost to NC State last year. Should have never lost. Jordan Travis was going through a sickness there. Mackenzie Milton was running the same offense as Jordan Travis, which makes no sense with a guy that didn't have 2 full-on, fully functional, threat with his legs. I'm not trying to say here, Florida State should have never lost that game. And I also don't feel like Florida State should let Corey Durden get another one. But I don't like that they're on the road. It's a weird situation. I got one of these games marked down where it's on my 50-50s. Right now I'm giving it to NC State because I can't have Florida State starting off such of a good record like this. But I got Florida State losing this game to NC State. Like I said, that one could be another changer one once we get into game prediction or score or game predictions whenever we get there. But right now, I've got Florida State losing that game at NC State. Everybody put in your score predictions and whatnot in the comments.
So I feel like every year Florida State has that one win where you're just like, what? And to me, this is this game. I don't buy NC State whatsoever. I may be in the minority on that. I know NC State's, depending on who you ask, they're going to be their 2nd or 3rd in the Atlantic this year. It's also one of those games where, yes, I live in North Carolina, but I can't go to the game because my best friend is getting married in Florida that weekend. So Florida State's going to try and piss me off and win that game, saying, hey, you should have been here.
Yeah, actually, thank God. Shout out to your friend that's getting married because he just saved. This might be a win for FSU, guys.
Yeah.
Lazy will not be in attendance for it.
Technically, he's getting married the day before, so I could fly to Raleigh the
No.
next day, but what I'm going to do instead is go to Greenville and go see a concert instead.
Well, that sounds about right. Oh, no one's blaming you for that. We highly, you know what? If there's any way we can help, encourage you to do more of those whenever they're like these kind of games. But yeah, what are you feeling though? What do you got?
I'm feeling a Florida State win. I'm probably going to be the only one that takes that here for now.
Okay.
I don't buy NC State. I really, really do not. I get it. Carter Finley is historically a tough place to play for Florida State. Everyone has nightmares of that fat dude waving his shirt around in the rain in 2012. But I don't know. I just have a good feeling. I don't know what it is.
I am the opposite. I think NC State is going to be one of the best teams in the conference and might end up winning the whole dang thing here in 2022. Florida State hasn't won on the road at North Carolina State since 2016. Obviously, Wolfpack, Devin Leary back in the fold, which is just huge. 35 touchdowns to 5 interceptions last year. They are going to have to replace their top 2 leading rushers, but man, there is some talent across that defense. As you said, Corey Durden is back. He had a pretty solid year last year. Also, another former Florida State guy is going to be returning to NC State. Cyrus Fagan is still there. I think he got hurt last year. And then Drake Thomas, leading tackler, one of the standout linebackers in the ACC, is back to man that North Carolina State defense. I've got, like I said, I think this team could potentially win the entire conference when it's all said and done in December. I think this might be Florida State's worst loss of the season.
Wow.
Right now. It could always change, but right now.
Florida State's worst loss of the season last year was Wake Forest. So just a cool note there from one of our resources.
Where did Wake Forest end up?
In
the ACC championship game.
Look at that. Just like someone, Champs 99 in the comments is saying here on YouTube, who gets married during football season?
Listen, I told him that. Here's the thing. He's the biggest Alabama fan I've ever met. But that's why they're getting married on a Friday, so that on Saturday they can have an entire day just to watch football. And I'm like, that's great, except I don't live in Florida anymore.
No, you stay over there. You stay far away from that stadium in Raleigh. You stay as far away as possible.
Honestly, if I was in town, I probably wouldn't go anyways because I hate NC State. Yeah. Like it's one of those things where you got to live here in North Carolina and be around their fans. They're the worst. They're seriously the worst.
They really are, man. They're.
I hate them more than Clemson, and they're near in Miami territory for me. I know that's crazy, but
they are. No, they really are.
They're terrible.
Like I thought that I didn't like Clemson fans, and then I grew, and now I'm not. I don't have a problem with them. And then went to NC State game, and wow, they really are. I mean, trying to hopefully build up some sponsors on here to start off the season. So I won't say anything too crazy, but just go eat a fat bag of you know what.
You're on the bags today.
Yeah, I want to say something at the end of it, but just really too much. Rated R. We're not a rated R show. We're a PG.
I thought, listen, we should still have the rating.
Yeah, we're PG-13, I think, but we can be explicit if we want to. So, NC State fans. All right, let's move on here to the next week, and wow. Here we go. I mean, this stretch is not fun, boys. I mean, you go from this preseason ranking, Wake Forest, number 22. NC State, number 13 in the country. What's up next? The Clemson Tigers and Dabo Swinney, where Florida State and Minor almost came away with it. Jermaine Johnson, man, making that play there in the red zone, on the Tigers' red zone, coming away and taking it for 6. Just things didn't go the way that Minerville and Adam Fuller and that defense really wanted to. Too many penalties, making too many silly mistakes. You had DJ Lundy with the late hit there. Just silly mistakes that almost practically costed you a win there to be Minerville's biggest win and his career at Florida State. Initial thoughts heading into this one. What do y'all think about DJ, the quarterback there for Clemson? Are y'all with the ukulele that you smashed?
Someone got it earlier. No, I think I finally threw it away. But someone asked about it way earlier if I was going to break another ukulele.
Oh. Well, yeah, not tonight, but when we get the game week.
I think that was a one-time thing. That was a spur of the moment. Had to surprise the guys.
Whoa! What about Florida State starting off? If they're at least 4-1, 5-1? Like,
we'll see. We'll see. I feel like it's hard to be worse than he was last year. I mean, he was horrendous in certain games. Once they got Will Shipley back, they ended up being a little bit better of a football team, able to use the ground game to help spur his throws. I don't think we're expecting much, honestly. Even if correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like we've heard nothing about Clemson this entire offseason.
It's been quiet. It's been that way for 2 years now. It's been that way 2
really
years
quiet.
now from
And
Dabo.
I don't know how to feel about it.
Venables is gone. Got to note that too on the docket. Venables for Clemson.
Tony Elliott.
Yeah, Tony Elliott.
And Elliott. So now the guys are leaving their nest and finally going elsewhere, which Florida State fans have been asking for years upon years. This is finally it.
I feel like it's going to be one of those games where we're going to sell out to stop the run, and DJ is going to beat us on just some wonky ass throw that looks like a punt, but somehow goes 35 yards. DB tips it up in the air and a Clemson receiver takes it the distance. It's going to be one of those stupid plays.
Well, I agree.
I'll take Clemson.
I agree with pretty much everything you said, Austin. I don't think DJ can't get much worse than he was last season. Only 9 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He's been pushed a little bit with the addition of Will Klubnik, so he had to fight to keep that spot during the spring with a 5-star true freshman. I think that's only going to pay off for him, and he's going to take a couple steps forward throughout 2022. And we all know what Will Shipley can do. He had a couple nice plays during that close loss a year ago. And then you look over at the other side of the ball. I know they've lost Venables, but man, that Clemson defensive line just absolutely stacked. Tyler Davis, Miles Murphy, Brian Breesy, who didn't even play against FSU last year. Brian Breesy played 4 games last year, only played 4 games due to injury, and still somehow made third-team All-ACC. That kind of blew my mind when I was doing research earlier. He played in the third of the games and still somehow made an all-conference team. So this is a Clemson defense that still has a ton of talent despite the coaching losses. And, yeah, it was close last year. I think it's going to be close again. Tigers win in Doak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Will Shipley, that should have never happened last year, but it did. Like you said, VZ2, I don't know how much worse you can get. Talking about DJ and how he performed, at least throughout the whole season. And, Florida State tried to take advantage of it, but, Will Shipley, they took advantage of the ground on Florida State and they didn't know what to do. I've got Clemson winning this game. I don't know. It just feels so weird. And I love doing the whole record predictions, going game by game and stuff. And a lot of this is going to change. I'd love to do this. And then
a lot of it
will
change.
Do game week. Yeah. A lot of things will change, but either way, just off the top glance, I do have Florida State losing this game. But like you said, VZ2, it's been very quiet. I feel like the last year and a half or 2 years, but really significantly this offseason, haven't heard jack out of Clemson, it feels like. So something to keep an eye on, but you lose both your offensive and defensive coordinators. I'm interested to see if that plays into effect of Clemson, how they play overall as the season and to this game against Mike Norvell and Adam Fuller and Coach Atkins.
I guess, yeah, we're truly going to see if it was Dabo or how much of it was really Brent Venables and Tony Elliott impacting that Clemson program versus Dabo. We'll really get a chance to see that staying power now.
I want to say Brent Venables ran that friggin' defense good. So I'm interested to see how that looks through a couple of weeks against Clemson. What does Clemson start off with? Sorry, I'm going off of a docket here, but I'm seeing Clemson start. Okay, Georgia Tech, Furman, Louisiana Tech. Okay. All right, Wake Forest. They're at Wake Forest on September 24th, so not really going to get
it will harden me back. That's
hey, we'll see if Jeff Sims rips it up September 5th, the first week.
Well, hey, Georgia Tech might be looking for some revenge there. I know we haven't gotten there on the schedule yet, but former Clemson quarterback Tyson, I don't know how to say the last name. The really not long Tyson. I don't know. Formerly at Clemson, transferred to Georgia Tech over the offseason. Maybe he beats out Jeff Sims and attacks DJ Instrument on the sideline.
Georgia Tech should worry about winning more than 3 games before they worry about beating Clemson.
Upset alert. That's all I'm saying.
So
is it in Atlanta?
Who?
It's at Georgia
Who
Tech.
cares? We're going to talk about a Georgia Tech home field advantage.
We ride in with that one.
I want to say the stretch that Clemson will be going on before they face Florida State in Campbell Stadium, which that one's for sure going to be an 8:00 night kickoff. Wake Forest next week, they'll face NC State, and then they'll face Boston College, and then Florida State. So they're going to go through a heavy stretch there before they do play the Seminoles. Just worth noting. Let's talk about the next week, which is going to be a bye week. What are we thinking here? What's going on in the bye week? Who needs to heal up? I'm thinking definitely that running back room. Running back room needs to heal up, I believe. Offensive line is going to be feeling after the Clemson game, so you want everybody to feel healthy.
I feel like Jordan Travis is going to be really banged up following a game coming off Clemson. So he's going to need that rest after that Clemson game.
Drinking. Yeah, Tom's got it right. Done that bye week? Absolutely. We will be drinking. Or we'll probably be in friggin' Tampa covering a game for the Bucs. So I will still be drinking for that, but we'll be taking advantage of that off week. But yeah, you're probably looking at, you want JT to be fully healthy, the offensive line, definitely in the trenches. I mean, you go back to that Clemson game, there's some guys busted up after that. So a lot of guys busted up. So very physical game against Clemson. Up next, Florida State. Speaking of the Devils,
ironically,
they're the Devils, but also the Yellow Jackets. Nobody likes a Yellow Jacket. The Yellow Jackets and Jeff Sims will be making their return to Duquesne Stadium after their win a couple of years ago. Ooh, that one. Florida State will face GT on October 29th, a couple of days before Halloween. Jeff Sims tried to throw the football to me a few times in the stands. That's just kind of what he does. Still, Florida State couldn't come away with a win, though. What are y'all's thoughts on this matchup? What are we thinking here? I got Florida State winning this one, though. I do have Florida State winning this game.
So as I just mentioned, Georgia Tech needs to worry about winning more than 3 games in a season. So far, under Jeff Collins, they've won 3 games every single year. He's currently sitting at 9-25 as a head coach in Atlanta. I don't think Florida State's going to be one of his 3 wins this season.
But they were before.
They were before. Not this time, Bucko. I got Florida State.
Florida State.
Yeah, let's be honest. Collins is on one of the hottest seats in the entire ACC. So who knows if he even makes it to October, whatever day you said. I'm not even sure if he'll still be around in Georgia Tech by then, depending on how the first half of their season goes. So this is a guy that's fighting for his job. Jeff Sims, also a guy who is fighting for his job. Georgia Tech, they brought in Akron transfer Zach Gibson, along with the Clemson transfer I mentioned earlier, Tyson, last name to be determined. So we'll see how those the quarterback battle goes there. They lost their star offensive player Jahmyr Gibbs to Alabama in the transfer portal over the offseason. I got Florida State winning this one big.
So here's Georgia Tech's schedule, by the way, before they play Florida State. At Clemson in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Western Carolina, whatever. Ole Miss at home will be interesting, but probably a loss. At UCF, probably a loss. At Pitt, probably a loss. Home against Duke, toss-up. Home against Virginia, and then Florida State. So there's a very solid chance Jeff Collins is not there by the time they play Florida State.
We're on Jeff Collins' watch by that week, boys. Well, we'll go back to this pod and see if VZ called it, because you might be onto something there.
So what are we at right now?
I think I'm at 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm at 4 and 4, I believe.
1,
yeah.
2, I think I'm at 5 and 3.
I think I'm at 4 and 4.
I'm at 5 and 3. What is everybody in the chat at? Tell us in the chat. What are y'all at? Because y'all have gone game by game with us, and we'll take a little second break here. If you want Jordan Travis to stay fully healthy, hit the like button. I'm putting it on y'all right now. If you want Jordan Travis to stay fully healthy throughout the whole season, hit the like button. And if you want him to win the Heisman, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell.
I better not have FSU talking to me when I'm walking into practice tomorrow, dude. I'm decking you. We're really going out on a limb with this podcast. like the podcast for Jordan Travis to stay healthy. Jesus Christ, man.
Fully healthy. You know, everybody can stay healthy. I'm healthy, but I'm not. There's probably definitely some things. I mean, there's definitely some things wrong with you, Dustin. I mean, you're healthy, you're living well.
I don't think I'll
you're
ever
not fully
be
healthy.
fully healthy again, Logan.
Just wish for my plane to crash.
Last time I was fully healthy, it was at birth.
I'm not so sure about that one, but we'll evaluate that and ask your mom at the next birthday dinner. Mark's got 6-2. Woo! Carson's got 8-0. We are on the doobies tonight, Carson. But
he had more than 2 drinks.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe 2 more of these, and I might just start chalking up the rest of the schedule as a win. Win. Andre 6-2. God, I like the optimism. I do like that. I'm an optimistic person, but I have not had enough red wine to go on the same route as y'all. So let's move on to next week's game after the Georgia Tech game. Here we go. We're going to go down to Miami, depending on what Florida State's record is looking like, to be honest. We will not be making that. We will not be making that travel if it's a lot of losses on the docket. But Florida State will be facing Miami at Miami this upcoming season. That is going to be on November 5th. The Hurricanes ranked at number 16 in the country. Number 16 in the country going into it. You bring back Tyler Van Dyke, which Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson made their little beep.
What?
I don't know.
What?
No, nothing. Either way, Florida State is going to have a good time down there in the rented stadium where the Miami Dolphins play. What are y'all's thoughts on this game? Florida State and Mike Norvell got the win, his first rivalry win to note for Mike Norvell. Last year, I actually predicted the exact score to this game, if you guys remember that, for Florida State to win that. No flex or anything, but
we'll have to check back on that.
I sure did, and I tweeted it and made sure everybody knew that, but I predicted 31-28 FSU to win because I remember you being right next to me in the press box. I was like, oh, my God, I just predicted that score and Florida State to win. This is the best night of my life. And then I got broke up with. No, I'm just I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. But things did start going down, spiraling after that, I'll be honest with you. Kind of had too much of a good night after that Miami game. But, all right, let's jump into the game predictions here, gentlemen. What do you think this is going to come down to first before you give me anything? What is it going to come down to for Florida State to get this win? Because they did it last year with the pass rush. We talked about it. Florida State had to get after Tyler Van Dyke. What are they going to have to do this year?
I think it's going to be pretty similar. Get in Tyler Van Dyke's head early and often. There's a lot of hype surrounding Van Dyke this season. He played well in that final stretch of the games last year. But now that there's more film on him this year, we'll see how he does. He's gonna really want to prove himself in this game with how last year turned out, all the Tyler Van Spike jokes. He's gonna want to and prove something wrong. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out, tries slinging it. If Florida State can get the pass rush going or the DBs can get a couple picks, that's gonna be the big thing. You're gonna have to stay on top of him.
I agree. It's going to come down to Tyler Van Dyke, and I've said it before. I think this is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire ACC. 25 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and like you said, Austin, he's got this game circled because he had a bad game against Florida State last year. I believe it was at least 2, if not 3, of his 6 interceptions came against Seminoles as well. That strip sack from Jermaine Johnson, and then the spike at the end. He still threw for over 300 yards in the game, ended the season with 4 straight 300-plus yard passing performances. But that's one that he's not going to forget, and he even said so earlier this preseason whenever he was asked about it. But last year, Florida State snapped a 4-game losing streak to Miami in Tallahassee. We'll see how things look under Mario Cristobal. I really think it's going to come down to that offense. Mario, more of a run guy at Oregon. So we'll see if he makes that transition similar at Miami, or if they decide to stick with their strengths and Van Dyke's arm. And, behind him, Jalen Knighton, running back who made some terrific plays, is back, tight end Will Mallory. And they've got some talent on the defensive side of the ball. Both of their leading tacklers are back, Tyreek Stevenson and former 5-star safety James Williams in that defensive backfield. I'm going to go with Miami close.
This one's toughies. Toughies. I think this is going to be Florida State's fourth hardest away game, just crowd wise. I mean, just really going to be tough there. Fourth roughest away game. I'm throwing shots, Austin. Throwing shots.
I know, but all right, go ahead.
I'm throwing shots, but no, I do think it is going to be. I mean, everybody that's never went to Miami is going to be there. They're going to have all the chains imaginable on, even though Mario Cristobal got them off there. The fans aren't, they don't really follow it until they get to go there and drink before the game in the parking lot. Hopefully I'm not there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get inside the stadium, but due to all the trash talk that we're doing here, and I don't know. I think Florida State knew how to take care of Tyler Van Dyke last year, and the main help to that was Jermaine Johnson. Florida State doesn't have Jermaine Johnson this upcoming season. I got Florida State right now, it's worth noting right now, we got Florida State losing this game. It's all going to ride on, I think all the season is, but it's going to ride on Florida State's Jordan Travis, and it's going to come down to if Florida State can get a passing attack going, because I think they're going to really Miami's defense, they're going to try to shut down that run. If they can get the passing attack going against the Hurricanes, I like a better chance there. But I got Florida State losing this game against Miami, but I do have that's one I'm keeping a close eye on. That's might change when we get into game week.
If my let me get my prediction. All right.
Oh, you didn't get it? Oh, my bad. I'm in another glass of wine.
That's crazy. If Miami had an actual home stadium, I feel like this would be a lot tougher. But with this essentially being a neutral site game, I'm going to say Mario Cristobal looks Mario Cristobad, and Florida State comes out on top.
Oh, God. You just pulled a Dustin.
How long were you thinking about that one?
Yeah, no, he's gone. You might as well skip the Syracuse part, because I'm not spending more than maybe a minute and 20 seconds on this one. I'll be honest with you guys.
Oh, you should. I got something to say.
Oh, my God. Jesus, help us. All right, so we're wrapping that one up. So making sure I'm not getting too crazy on my record here. All right, so Florida State. Where am I at? I am at 1, 2, 3, 4. 5.
You're at 5-4, right?
Yeah, I'm chilling. We're doing good. I'm proud of myself. Florida State. Oh, I'm heading in a really interesting direction now that I wasn't expecting. All right, Florida State goes to Syracuse. I have no interest in going to that dome whatsoever, but this is going to be taking place.
Dude, Syracuse in November?
I'm saying nothing more beautiful than Upper New York in late November.
In a basketball dome?
Middle November.
At that point, our budget's not going to cut it. Not going to cut it, sadly. But November 12th, Florida State goes and faces Syracuse up there. That one's probably going to be a noon game. Let it be a noon game. If they could play it at 10 a.m. right when I wake up, I'd be fine with it. Just get it over with. But I got Florida State winning that game.
If it was outdoors, I think Florida State would get smoked just because they'd have to play in the snow. With it being in the dome.
Great analysis there.
Open the dome.
Smoked.
With it being in the dome.
When was the last time Florida State played really in the cold? Was it against Boston College when it was freezing cold on
dude, I was cold last year in Boston College.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I got Florida State and by double digits.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, this was a close one in 2021. Came down to that game-winning field goal. Syracuse, Garrett Schrader is back, and he was more of a running threat for Syracuse anything rather than a passer last year, as well as the leading rusher in the ACC, Sean Tucker, who most notably we all saw get run down by Jared Verse on his highlight tape. Syracuse also has linebacker Michael Jones, 110 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 4 sacks last season, as well as another good linebacker coming back. But I'm going to go with Florida State. All right, why do you look like that?
We just had another bot come into the chat and say best adult dating site.
All right, don't read.
I won't read the rest of it.
I'm going to go Florida State over Syracuse to get to 5-5.
This is another coach that's on the hot seat with Dino Babers. Very solid chance he's not the coach Florida State comes to town. In their last 3 seasons, he's 11-24. Decent chance he's not there by the time Florida State travels to Upper New York.
You're keeping an eye on these guys.
I'm keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, keep a close eye on that for us, VZ. Might be onto something. And this is around prime time of where you're into some basketball
season,
too.
yeah.
I was about to say, VZ, this is your
Yeah.
time. This is your favorite time of the year where you start.
November is the best part of the year. You get early part basketball.
You do,
where all the hype's there because you're beating all the bad teams. You got the end of football season. You're finally out of all the misery. You see the light at the end of the tunnel.
No, I just think about how much money I'll lose betting. So that's just such a good time to lose a good couple hundred, if not more than that. So sounds beautiful to me. Let's go. All right. So we got Florida State beating Syracuse there. I got that knocked off. And let's jump through these last couple of games before we're on here for 80,000 years. Florida State up next. Raging Cajuns. Shout out to Billy Napier down there now at UF. It's funny that they play the Raging Cajuns before the Gators. Could Billy Napier be helping out with the game calls in Tallahassee? Anyways, I got Florida State winning this game against Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana 13-1 last season. Ended the 2021 season on a 13-game winning streak. Won the Sun Belt Conference Championship and won their bowl game. But that was under Billy Napier, and they had a different quarterback, and they lost a lot of people to the transfer portal. It really wasn't their offense a season ago. It was their defense that helped them win some games. So I'm interested to see. I'm going to watch them throughout the season and kind of see how it goes, but I'm expecting Florida State to win this one decisively.
But what about the winning culture that you brought up against Duquesne? What happened to that?
Well, the coach left. Duquesne still has their coach.
Not buying it. I feel like it's going to be closer than people expect, but Florida State's still going to win. I feel like people just see Louisiana and they're going to go, Florida State's going to win by 4 touchdowns. I feel like it's going to be like a 13, 17-point game, something like that.
Yeah, I already said earlier, but Florida State's winning that game. It's funny. I was thinking the same thing, VZ. I think it might be a little bit closer than expected. You're kind of getting ready for a big rivalry week. You're going to have Florida come into town to finish off the regular season. So hopefully a regular season that you can hopefully say going into a postseason. So, but yeah, Florida State, I got them beating the Raging Cajuns in Tallahassee. And to finish off the schedule for Florida State this upcoming season, the Florida Gators will be coming on November 25th. This one is also a Friday night game. What are y'all feeling about this? What's up with this? First time ever, or not the first time ever?
It'd be fine if I didn't work in retail and had to work Black Friday. Last thing I'm going to want to do is work how many ever hours and come home and watch Florida State lose to Florida. So not looking forward to that one.
No, not looking forward to that one at all.
And I feel like Florida State's a better team. Honestly, I really think they are. I'm not sold on Napier and thinking he can get the job done at Florida. I don't know. I just have weird vibes around this game. This was one of like 3 or 4 games where I went back and forth a couple times before we went live, and I just ended up going to loss. I don't trust it.
I want to note on here too, Florida State should have beat UF last year. I mean, you got an interim coach. Seems like Florida State's in a groove there. I noticed a lot of just, I don't know, Norvell's still building this team. I just saw a lot of immaturity, guys with silly penalties. You also had Jordan Travis hurt in the friggin' first quarter, if not the first drive, like put in a really weird situation. But Florida State still should have won that game, man. I mean, you brought in Mackenzie Milton. Yes, that wasn't exactly what you thought was going in, the product that you were going to have. But I mean, you still got quarterbacks behind. Like you just still can't lose that game. I don't know. This one's weird to me. It's a little bit different. I feel more confident than the Miami game with this. It's at home too, which I think is a nice advantage for Florida State. I got Florida State winning this game. Anthony Richardson is Anthony Richardson. I want to see more from him. I think there's some inconsistencies there, but maybe
And
since he's
there's
the
a
true
lot
QB1.
of hype behind Anthony Richardson right now. There's a lot of first-round talk behind him that we haven't seen. Yeah, he's had some good camp highlights, but he needs to show it in a game.
Do you guys remember the mock drafts for Emory Jones last year?
You got a point.
So,
but like at least Richardson has the size. At 6'5", what is he, like 230? He's a big quarterback, and he's got a cannon. He's got a cannon of an arm, just not that accurate.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Anthony Richardson is right there. This one's so later in the season too, but yeah, I've got a win for Florida State at home. A lot of this stuff can change, like we said, but I do think that Florida State has the advantage here. I think it's going to take a little while for Billy to get down there and rebuild things. So I've got a win for Florida State to finish off the regular season against the Gators. This would be Mike Norvell's first win against UF.
Yeah, hopefully I'm wrong and we can just start calling Billy Napier Billy Taggart. That would be my favorite thing that we could do.
Oh my!
I agree with what you were saying though, Logan. Florida State, they got a bad draw last year with Jordan Travis messing up his throwing shoulder on, I think, the third or fourth play of the game, the very first offensive drive. And then Mackenzie Milton and Tate Rodemaker, whenever they were inserted in there for those drives that they had, it did not go in Florida State's favor. Yeah, you had some penalties, like you mentioned, some deep passes that some defenders like it behind them. There was the muffed punt late. And I think that was in the fourth quarter, too.
A lot of mistakes.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes. And Florida State they only lost that game 24-21. I mean, they were right there at the end with a chance to win that football game and just came up short. We, remember the onside kick that did not get kicked. But this is a program that's a lot different. We'll see what Napier's able to do. Anthony Richardson going to be taking over the starting reins completely with Emory Jones moving on. But Florida, top 3 rushers are gone. Their top receiver is gone. There's been a lot of roster turnover. So going to be interesting, especially early on, first 4 or 5 games of the season, how that new group kind of comes together and meshes and plays under Napier. So I have this one as a toss-up, but right now I'm going with a Florida State win, which gets me to 7-5.
Nope. Yeah, exactly. I went one above than I thought I was. And these are all raw, predictions, man, because I took my notes down and stuff, but I kind of wanted to just go raw off of it. So I've got 8-4. Jesus. I'm going to.
Got 8-4?
I think I do. 1, 2.
I have 7-5.
4, 5, 6, 7.
I have 7-5. I wanted 6-6. Can I flip one of these?
Yeah, 4. No. Can't change them now. We're set in stone, baby. Real quick, we got the record predictions, and everybody put in your record predictions in the chat before we get off here. Also hit the like button so Jordan Travis stays fully healthy throughout the season, just for good luck, just for good juju. It's good juju. I'm just saying, if we get to 100 likes, man, you're looking at a Heisman.
Last time he had a good juju was in Pittsburgh, and he ended up being bad juju very quick.
Okay, we did not need to go that part because I'll just bounce back and say George Pickens, Rookie of the Year, calling it now. Sorry, Juju, but we got better Juju now. 8-4. Let's jump over to offensive, defensive players of the year predictions here, and then freshman of the year. Who stands out the most? Who wants to go first for offense? Who do you think stands out the most this upcoming season for Florida State? And you guys can put it in the chat too. We're all as a family here. Let's start throwing in our predictions. Who's offensive player of the year for Florida State in 2022? Who was it last year? Wait, who was it last year? Was it Corbin or JT?
I don't know.
You cover this team.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm thinking either Jordan Travis or Jashawn Corbin.
You're thinking, or I don't know who won it last year.
See if I can find it real quick while y'all talk.
Who was it? But yeah, who's this year's offensive player of the year?
Well, this year I would go, and that's barring health or at least being healthy for the majority of the season. I'm going to go with Jordan Travis, and it's the easiest pick. What are you going to say, Austin?
It was Jordan Travis.
So Jordan Travis for a back-to-back year. It's kind of the easiest pick. you can go with. We all know what Travis does with his legs, and then like we've said since the spring or even before, the improvements that Travis has made as a passer, just when it comes to being more comfortable in the pocket, going through his progressions, not scrambling when the first option isn't there. He's made a lot of improvement over the last year. We saw it late in the 2021 campaign. And like I said, as long as he can stay healthy, I'm really excited to see what he does this fall. Feels like Travis is primed for a breakout season.
I feel like if it's not Jordan Travis, something went horribly wrong.
Yep.
So for lack of a better pick, I'm going Jordan Travis.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely a good pick here. I'm going to get out of that area. I think I'm going to get out of that area.
Oh, he's going with the 1,001 odds here.
Oh, I'm going wild.
Trey Benson, wow.
Woo! No. Who was my favorite in the spring? Who was my favorite in the spring, baby?
No.
Yep.
Oh,
I knew exactly what
I am going to do it. I am going to do it.
And at this point,
be crazy.
Just pick Robert Scott at this point.
Robert Scott. No, I got to be crazy because the show can't just be the same thing. It'd be boring. Everybody pick their offensive favorite or a favorite to be the MVP. I'm going to go Johnny Wilson.
I knew it.
I think he's going to score a lot of touchdowns for Florida State this upcoming season. I don't know if that's going to overplay JT because he's going to be the one throwing it to him, but I think Johnny Wilson is going to be your offensive MVP if I had to give it to someone outside of JT. I just love what I've seen so far. I just want to see consistency in games, but he's a threat that almost nobody can cover at some points unless you're going to put a 6'3", 6'4" DB on him. You don't see a lot of those nowadays. It's going to be hard to cover him. So I got Johnny Wilson. Nasty red zone threat, but I've seen more out of him and different ways and practices that I feel good about him.
I just think the receivers are going to rotate too much for it to be a receiver.
What about
I get you want to be
out of that rotation? What about if he's the best receiver out of that rotation?
But if he ends up having 700 yards, and I feel like that's even being.
What about multiple? What about if multiple receivers have? Dustin, weren't you predicting that multiple receivers are going to have?
If multiple receivers have
two receivers with more than 600 yards.
If multiple have more than 600, how would one be an MVP if they both have statistical similar seasons?
Mm-hmm. We'll see. And maybe I'm saying it because I loved Greg Carr back in the day, but I think he's just a different kind of specimen than Carr was. All right, defensive player of the year. Who's going to be Florida State's defensive player of the year?
So last year was obviously Jermaine Johnson. Just got out of the way. I'm going to go. I'm between two.
Okay. We'll discuss it. What do you got?
I'm between Tatum Bethune and who I'm actually going to pick is last year's Bobby Bowden Leadership Award winner, Fabian Lovett. I feel like that's a bold pick, but I feel like he's going to have. I feel like he's going to have a huge difference coming up the middle. Jamie Robinson's going to be another likely choice as well, but I feel like linebacker is going to get more stats. And I feel like Love is going to have a huge, huge impact on this team, not just leadership like he did last year, but he's going to step up his play on the field this year.
I like those picks. I don't think your Lovett one's bold, to be honest to me.
I feel like if someone was to release Florida State defensive MVP betting odds, he'd be like third or fourth.
So not too crazy bold. You're in there.
He was on my list, as was Bethune, and I'm personally going to go with Tatum Bethune because I really do like what that defensive line is going to be able to do, especially when you look at Fabian Lovett and Robert Cooper as space eaters and guys who are able to create penetration on the interior of offensive lines. It's going to give Bethune and Deloach and some of those other linebackers a lot of room to work there in between the tackles to go in and make plays. And you're bringing a guy in from UCF who's worked under Randy Shannon before, had a career year last year, triple-digit tackles at UCF. And head coach Mike Norvell, he said it after both scrimmages that Tatum Bethune is a guy that has shown up for Florida State. And we've seen it throughout practices. He ends up around the ball, getting these fumble recoveries, making some tackles for loss, sags, maybe a little quiet at times. But when the lights turn on, he's ready to go. And I think he's going to bring a big impact on that defense.
Yep. The UCF transfer can get everywhere, man. He can grab tackles too. So I I see a lot of Kalen DeLoach comments in here, and he's the guy that broke out last year. And that's one that I've had on my list, and I'm like, oh man, this should be like a major jump for Kalen, because I think he's just really smart-minded. He knows where to be. And that's what Coach Randy Shannon is really excited for this upcoming season with him. I'm going to keep it on the bold side of things, I feel like, and get outside of it, but I'm going to go with another favorite, and I'm going off of what I've seen in the spring, what I've seen in fall camp, and that's all I need to see is Jared Verse. I think Jared Verse is going to be Florida State's top player out of the defense, a first-year player. A lot of crazy things here. I'm going off of first-year players, which, if you think about it, last year, it was Jermaine Johnson, and that was a first-year player. Last year, you had Jordan Travis, I guess, but at least defensively, there's 1 out of 2, so maybe my chances are 50-50 here that I might be able to grab another one. But I like Jared Verse. He's really came in, and he's also taken a leadership role. But like he said to us in an interview during fall camp, when the lights are on and he's in Doak Campbell Stadium, he hits a different gear. And that's scary to think of when what we've watched in fall camp and spring camp. I mean, he's been ultra impressive. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm telling my dad, like, I can keep telling you after practice he's had sacks, he's blowing up the offensive line, he's chippy, he's talking trash and whatnot. But it's at the point now where I'm excited for everybody to see it on the field. So I'm going to go Jared first. Get ready. I know it's only Duquesne, but when he's inside Doak, it's a different notch. So I'm getting a little bold here with some of these.
There's a lot of good options on defense. Like, you can go so many different directions.
I know it's crazy. We're not even saying Jamie.
Yeah, we didn't say Jamie. We didn't even mention Akeem Dent, who we're all really high on going into the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, you just mentioned Kalen DeLoach that the comments are saying. I feel like Amari Cooper is going to have a really good season. There's a lot of good defenders that you could call out.
Yeah, what do y'all think going into the season, real quick? Offense, defense. What's carrying this team?
Defense, not even close. I think this. Granted, last year we kind of said the same thing, and it kind of took a while for it to catch up. I just think the defense has so much more talent. Hopefully, Fuller can get these guys right.
Yeah, I think if the season is going to go well, then it's definitely got to be the defensive side of the ball. When you look at these opponents and how much experience a lot of them are bringing back on offense, so many quarterbacks from a season ago or even longer coming back on FSU's schedule.
Yeah, that defense is looking really good. And it's heavy stacked with talent and depth, something that Mike Norvell and the whole entire coaching staff has been really excited for since going through spring and now fall camp, with a lot more bodies in the trenches too. Real quick to finish it off, freshman of the year. Who's going to be freshman of the year? I don't think we really did this last year, but thought I'd jump in and do this because there's been some guys impressing in fall camp, some guys getting burned with the ones like we talked about with Kanaya Charlton, Julian Armella. You've also been able to see some big-time flashes from Azrae Thomas, Sam Mccall, Amar Graham Jr. A lot of freshmen, man.
Just to note, they did an offensive newcomer of the year last year, and then a defensive freshman. So they kind of split it up last year. They got it for McLean on offense, and then they split it between Knowles and Cooper on defense. Just a note.
It was Cooper. Say that again. Sorry.
Cooper and Knowles.
Cooper and Knowles. Okay.
2 DBs.
2 DBs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going with another DB in Thomas.
Oh, okay. All right. I like it.
I mean, with what we've seen so far, I think I'm going to go with Thomas as well. Definitely been the standout true freshman in fall camp. But I mean, depending on how the season progresses and, with injuries and things like that, I think maybe Julian Armella, even to me, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but someone that I've been impressed with throughout camp is Brian Courtney. Maybe a dark horse to emerge in a tight end room that needs someone to step up throughout the fall. And then, like I said about injuries, maybe AJ Duffy.
Fred, yeah. Whoa.
Just to throw a couple names out there.
We want to stay positive.
But I'm going with AZ for sure.
Gotcha. If all the likes on YouTube keep going up, then Jordan Travis, we won't see a lot of AJ Duffy this upcoming season. See Jordan Travis out there healthy. Fred's on here asking, do redshirt freshmen count? If so, Pat Payne is my freshman of the year. Does it?
Knowles was a redshirt freshman last year, right?
No.
Or is he true?
True.
It's true. Okay. I didn't
We are not counting redshirt freshmen.
I do like me some Pat
That's who
Payton
Logan
now.
will pick. So
I do like some Pat Payton now if we're going to do some redshirt freshmen. You know what I'm saying? I do like me some Pat Payton who, did what he needed to do in the spring, and then this fall camp has looked good. True freshman wise, if I can go redshirt freshman, that would be Pat Payton. But true freshman wise, and I think, to be honest, he's going to get burned this upcoming season. It's going to be Julian Armella. I do think so. I've seen a lot of good signs from him. He's still learning, still not going to be, he's not a true starter day one. He's not going to be out there in week 0 starting. But if someone were to go down, he's going to come in and I think do a really decent job. And that's really big coming out of a true freshman that is playing at the tackle position. He showed up in phenomenal shape. He listens well. He's coached easily. He's becoming a leader in that freshman room. And to be honest, seeing him go in battle against Jared Verse and Derek McClendon, Pat Payton every day, it's just making him better and better and better. For that to be a true freshman, I like it. So I think he's going to get some burn in case some guys go down this upcoming season. Hope not. Hope that doesn't happen. But I'm relying on him getting some playing time. So we'll see.
No comment. It's tough on offense because, unless AJ Duffy unexpectedly plays, there's no skill position guys that are freshmen.
Don't forget about Rodney.
Whoa. What about Drell Powers?
Is that Brian Courtney?
We know a receiver's
Dark
not gonna do
horse.
it.
Well,
I was going to say Travis. Oh, my God.
That's messed up.
That's tough. That is messed up.
You already did it once today. Twice.
Twice. I'm close to canceled. So
yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't been yet, but that probably did it for me. I think that wraps it up, gentlemen. Any last thoughts on your record prediction? You think y'all did good? Feel pretty secure heading into this season?
I wanted to go with 6-6. I somehow got to 7-5.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I made up for it. I wanted to do 8-4 and got to 7-5. So
I don't know why you wanted to get to 8-4.
Just because,
regardless,
I like being wrong sometimes. It's fine.
I do think it's noteworthy. We all have Florida State returning to the postseason, but we all had Florida State returning to the postseason each of the last 2 years.
At this point, we're checking in once again. Either we are stupid as all get out, which we probably might be, but
we definitely
falling
are.
for it. We're falling for it again, kind of. But are we falling for it?
This is the
first time. This is, to be honest, though. Let's put this in perspective. This is our first time of us being through a full fall camp where we're involved. We're there. We see the practices. I was there all through spring camp. It's translated into a really good fall camp so far. Injury related, kind of up and down, but still, you're still bringing in your primary group. Feel good.
And I feel like if you the most important part is getting through those first 6 games. If you can get through those first 6 games 3-3, I feel like you feel pretty good the rest of the way.
It's going to be a wild ride. I have a feeling we're in for something interesting this season. I'm hoping a good one too. I mean, an 8-4 season would be really fun to come on here and chat with you guys, do an instant reaction and such. It would be nice. Boom, Florida State takes down LSU, because we better do that instant reaction quick off the side of the road, because we are going to party in New Orleans.
I will not be. I have a 9 a.m. flight the next day.
Well, that is your fault. That is your fault.
That was my only option. Literally, that was my only option. It was either that or 6 a.m. So,
yeah, I'm up for anything over six and up is what I'm good with. Just
get to a bowl game.
Get us back to the postseason. A couple more weeks of coverage always helps out the website.
I was about to say that Dustin's meaning he just needs more clicks through December.
I need more money.
And I feel like it's safe to say if Norvell doesn't get to six wins, he's going to be – if he's not out, he'll be on the hottest seat
Seat's going to be hot.
The country. That seat's going to be burning.
Yeah, it is going to be hot.
Jeff Collins seat.
Yikesies. That one's really hot. But, yeah, I think that practically wraps up the entire show for our 2022 season preview and record predictions. It's in the bank now. We'll go back and look at this and laugh at it probably in January, or maybe we'll laugh at it at the end of November. We hope not. we hope not. Optimism is key here. So Florida State will kick off the season next weekend on Saturday, which still is amazing to me that we've already made it this far. But we will go live next Wednesday. Our schedule is set now. We're no longer changing days all around. We will be set on Wednesday nights this year. We used to do Thursday nights. We're going to move them to Wednesdays, so then it will give you time for all of you to go in and watch or listen for whatever ways that you go in and listen to the podcast or on YouTube, whichever way. It's going to give you all an extra full day to listen and get our coverage from game weeks. So I feel like that's a lot better than y'all hoping to get all your info in on Fridays. So Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Definitely appreciate everybody coming on here and hanging out with us. Hopefully everybody enjoys the rest of y'all's week. As always, you can listen to podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. If you're on YouTube right now, and I know a lot of y'all, over 100 people are still on here. We're at 75 likes. Bump it up. Keep on hitting that like button. We would definitely appreciate it if you've made it this far. Smack that. It helps get out to a lot more FSU fans. And so it's been a really fun offseason. Next week, we will preview Florida State versus Duquesne in week 0. We're getting close, gentlemen. We are getting close. So
It's crazy.
it's blowing by, but I'm at the point. I'm kind of like the players now. I'm ready to see a different.
Ready to hit somebody?
I'm ready to hit somebody. It might be you, Dustin, tomorrow morning. I don't know.
Well, I'll keep my head on a swivel. I'll see you out there nice and early.
Yep. See you bright and early. All right, guys. Everybody enjoy the rest of y'all's week. We will see you guys next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. for Florida State versus Duquesne game preview. See you guys.